Admiral Kextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars shift through the viewing port. His scales gleamed under the blue light of the command center. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the past 50 years. Today would make it 18. Admiral, we have crossed into the territory marked on their primitive transmissions, reported his second officer. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency around their stations. Kextar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Excellent. Deploy the fleet in standard attack formation. These humans should provide little resistance. 200 Zephyrian warships moved through space like a dark cloud. Each vessel was larger than anything the humans possessed. Their weapons could crack planets. Their shields had never been breached by any enemy they had faced. The Admiral walked his command chair, his heavy footsteps echoing in the metal corridors. Communications. Broadcast our standard surrender demand. Tell these mammals they have one rotation to abandon their worlds. Halfway across the system, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison sat at his station aboard the patrol vessel Defiant. The small human ship was on routine patrol near the outer edge of colonial space. Jake had been doing this job for 5 years. Most days were boring. Today was different. Sir, I'm picking up massive energy signatures on long-range sensors, called out Ensign Tim Rogers from the detection station. Jake moved to look over the young officer's shoulder. The screen showed dots moving toward human space. Lots of dots. More than Jake had ever seen at once. How many ships? Jake asked, his voice tight. Computer says 200, sir. Maybe more. Jake felt his stomach drop. The largest human fleet ever assembled had maybe 150 ships. Are you sure about those readings? Yes, sir. They're big, sir. Really big. Jake grabbed the communication device. This is Lieutenant Commander Morrison, aboard patrol vessel Defiant. Priority message for Earth Defense Command. Unknown fleet of approximately 200 vessels approaching Sector 7. Repeat, 200 unknown vessels inbound. On Alpha 7 border station, Captain Lisa Martinez received the message while drinking her morning coffee. She had been stationed on the frontier for 10 years. She knew that 200 ships meant only one thing: war. General quarters. She announced over the station's communication system. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. The border station came alive with activity. Crew members ran through corridors. Weapons powered up. Shields activated. Lisa contacted the colonial settlements in the outer system. Attention all colonies in Sector 7. Begin immediate evacuation procedures. Unknown hostile fleet approaching. Repeat, begin evacuation now. On New Denver mining colony, families loaded onto transport ships. Parents carried children. Workers abandoned their equipment. Everyone moved as fast as they could. The evacuation had been practiced many times, but never for real. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kextar received reports from his scouts. The primitive mammals are fleeing their outer settlements. An officer reported. Their patrol vessel has withdrawn to a safe distance. Good. They recognize superior force when they see it. Perhaps this will be easier than expected. Kextar activated the fleet communication system. His message would reach every human settlement and ship in the system. Attention, primitive mammals. I am Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire. You are now in the territory of a superior species. You have one solar rotation to abandon all worlds and installations in the system. Any resistance will result in complete extinction of your species. The message was broadcast in broken human language, learned from intercepted radio transmissions. The Zephyrians had been listening to human communications for decades. They knew about human technology, human culture, human weaknesses. At Earth Defense Headquarters, Commander Rick Sullivan stood in the main command center. Dozens of officers worked at computer stations around him. Large screens showed the tactical situation. Sir, we have confirmation of the alien fleet size. 200 vessels, each approximately 3 times larger than our largest ships, reported his aide. Rick had spent 30 years in the human defense forces. He had fought pirates, rebels, and corporate armies. But he had never faced anything like this. Send a diplomatic message to the alien fleet. Full translation protocols. Maybe we can avoid a fight. Sir, with respect, they just threatened to wipe out our entire species. I know, but we have to try. The human diplomatic message was simple and direct. This is Commander Sullivan of Earth Defense Command. We are willing to discuss your territorial claims through peaceful negotiation. Please respond if you're interested in avoiding unnecessary conflict. Admiral Kextar laughed when he heard the translation. They offered to negotiate? They have no position to negotiate from. Tell them their time is running short. On patrol, ship Defiant, Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet advance. Even at maximum distance, his sensors could detect the enormous energy readings from their weapons. Each alien ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Sir, should we return to base?" asked Ensign Rogers. "No, we stay and watch. Command needs intelligence on these things." Jake activated the long-range communication array. "Command, this is Morrison. I can provide real-time tactical data on the alien fleet. Their ships appear to use some kind of energy shielding. Weapon signatures are off the charts." Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Martinez supervised the final evacuation of border settlements. The last transport ship left New Denver Colony just as alien scouts appeared at the edge of the system. "All civilians clear, Captain," reported her communications officer. "Good. Now we prepare for whatever comes next." She looked at her small crew. 23 people to defend a border station against 200 alien warships. The mathematics were simple and terrifying. Dr. Amy Chin worked frantically in her laboratory on Earth. As head of the Xenobiology Research Department, she analyzed the alien communications for any useful information. "Their language suggests a hierarchical military structure," she told her assistant. "Very formal, very rigid. They seem to view us as animals rather than intelligent beings. Is that good or bad for us?" "Bad. Animals don't negotiate. They get exterminated." President Karen Blake sat in the emergency session of the Defense Council. Military leaders from across human space attended by video link. "How long do we have?" she asked. "At their current speed, they'll reach our outer colonies in 18 hours, replied Admiral Paul Jackson, commander of the Home Fleet. "And our chances?" "Unknown, Madam President. We've never faced anything like this." Karen looked around the room at the grim faces. "Then we better learn fast. Gentlemen, prepare for war." As night fell on Earth, the alien fleet continued its advance. Admiral Kextar stood confidently on his bridge, certain that tomorrow would bring easy victory. He had conquered species more advanced than these humans appear to be, but in the darkness of space, human ships began moving toward the battle zone. Patrol vessels, cargo haulers converted to warships, colony defense boats, and the main battle fleet. Everyone who could fight was coming. The Zephyrians expected fear and surrender. Instead, they would find something they had never encountered before. They would find humans defending their homes. The morning sun rose over Earth Defense Headquarters as Commander Rick Sullivan tried one last diplomatic message. His coffee had gone cold hours ago. He had not slept since the alien fleet was detected. "This is Commander Sullivan, representing all human worlds. We request immediate communication with your fleet commander. We believe there has been a misunderstanding about territorial boundaries." The response came quickly. Admiral Kextar's voice filled the communication center, translated into human language by computers. "There is no misunderstanding, primitive creature. Your species has spread across several star systems without permission from superior beings. This ends today. You will abandon all colonies immediately or face extinction." Rick looked at his communication officer. "Did he just call us primitive creatures?" "Yes, sir. The translation is accurate. Send another message. Tell them we are willing to discuss boundary agreements. Remind them that destroying an intelligent species violates most known galactic laws." Admiral Kextar received the second human message while reviewing attack plans. He turned to his tactical officer, a scarred veteran of many conquests. "They speak of galactic laws. Do they not understand that we make the laws?" "Perhaps they are more primitive than we thought, Admiral. Most species surrender immediately when they see our fleet size. Send them our final response. Make it clear. The message that reached human space was simple and terrifying. Mammal creatures, you have proven your species lacks intelligence. Your time expires in 10 standard hours. Any ships or installations remaining will be destroyed. Your species will be remembered as a footnote in Zephyrian military records. Dr. Amy Chin listened to the alien message in her laboratory. She had spent the night analyzing every piece of communication from the Zephyrian fleet. They're not interested in coexistence, she told her research team. Their language patterns suggest they view other species as either subjects or obstacles. There's no concept of equals in their thinking. What does that mean for us? Asked her assistant, Dr. Peter Walsh. It means they won't negotiate. They won't compromise. They'll keep fighting until either they win completely or they're completely defeated. Amy sent her analysis to Earth Defense Command immediately. Military leaders needed to understand what they faced. Meanwhile, Captain Tony Rodriguez commanded a small reconnaissance fleet moving toward the alien formation. His orders were simple. Get close enough to gather intelligence, then report back. Stay in tight formation, he told his 4 escort ships. We need detailed scans of their technology. Don't engage unless they fire first. The reconnaissance fleet approached the alien outer screen carefully. Tony's sensors began collecting data on Zephyrian ship designs, weapon systems, and shield technology. Their ships are definitely larger than ours, reported his sensor operator. But they're built differently. More emphasis on heavy armor and big weapons. Less maneuvering ability. Good information. Keep scanning. Admiral Kextar noticed the small human ships approaching his fleet. He watched them on his tactical display with amusement. 5 tiny vessels against 200 warships. These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Should we destroy them, Admiral? Not yet. Let them look. Let them see the power they face. It will make their surrender more complete. But Captain Rodriguez had no intention of surrendering. His ships collected detailed measurements of alien technology while staying just outside weapon range. Sir, I'm picking up interesting energy readings from their shields, reported a science officer. There might be a way to disrupt them. Note everything. This data could save lives. The reconnaissance mission ended when one of the escort ships suffered an engine malfunction and drifted too close to the alien fleet. Admiral Kextar decided the humans had seen enough. Destroy the damaged vessel. Show them the price of approaching Zephyrian ships. Energy beams lanced out from 3 alien warships. The human escort ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. Captain Rodriguez watched his fellow humans die. All ships withdraw immediately. Get this data back to command. The reconnaissance fleet raced toward human lines, while alien ships pursued them halfway across the system. One more escort ship was lost before they reached safety. President Karen Blake received the intelligence reports in the White House Situation Room. Military advisors surrounded the conference table. The mood was grim. They destroyed our ships without warning, reported Admiral Paul Jackson. No communication, no demands for surrender. They just opened fire. What about their technology? Karen asked. Advanced, but not impossible to fight. Captain Rodriguez's scans show potential weaknesses in their shield systems. Karen stood and looked at the large tactical display, showing alien and human fleet positions. How many people are we talking about evacuating? 12 million civilians in the outer colonies, Madam President. And how long to evacuate them all? 6 weeks minimum. We have 18 hours. The mathematics were simple. Most of the outer colonies could not be evacuated in time. Millions of humans would be trapped when the aliens arrived. Then we fight, Karen said quietly. Authorization code Alpha 77. Operation Steel Resolve is now active. Across human space, military bases received the activation order. Every available ship was called to active duty. Civilian vessels were pressed into military service. Colony defense forces prepared for the worst. Colonel Steve Barnes received his orders at Marine Corps headquarters. His assault divisions were being prepared for possible boarding actions against alien vessels. Sir, We don't know anything about alien ship layouts or their personal combat abilities, his aide pointed out. Then we'll learn as we fight. Get the men ready for anything. Chief Engineer Maria Santos worked frantically in the orbital shipyards above Earth. Her teams had 18 hours to retrofit human ships with any weapons that might work against alien technology. Focus on electromagnetic pulse weapons, she told her engineering teams. The reconnaissance data suggests their shields might be vulnerable to EM disruption. What about our existing weapons? Keep them. We'll need every advantage we can get. As the deadline approached, Admiral Kextar prepared his fleet for the final advance. His officers reported complete readiness. Admiral, the mammals have not responded to our ultimatum. No evacuation ships have been detected. Kextar was surprised. Most species ran when faced with Zephyrian military power. Perhaps they did not understand. Send one final message. The last diplomatic communication. Reach human forces just 2 hours before the deadline. Primitive mammals, your time has expired. We detect no evacuation efforts. This confirms your species lacks basic intelligence. When we have claimed your worlds, we will study your remains to understand how such a defective species achieved space travel. Commander Rick Sullivan read the message and shook his head. They really don't understand us at all. He composed a final human response. It was brief and direct. Admiral Kextar, this is humanity's answer to your ultimatum. We don't abandon our homes. We don't surrender our children. If you want our worlds, come and take them. The message reached the Zephyrian flagship just as Admiral Kextar ordered his fleet to advance. He read the translation twice. They refuse to surrender? Even now? It appears so, Admiral. Then we will teach the galaxy what happens to species that defy the Zephyrian Empire. All ships, attack formation. Show no mercy. 200 alien warships began their final approach to human space. Behind them, they left no retreat routes open. This would be conquest or destruction. But ahead of them, human ships were moving into defensive positions around their colonies. Patrol vessels, cargo haulers, colony defense ships, and the main battle fleet. Every human who could hold a weapon was preparing to fight. The aliens expected easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they were about to discover what humans did when someone threatened their families. President Karen Blake stood before the emergency session of Congress. Behind her, the large screen showed the approaching alien fleet. Every representative understood what they faced. My fellow Americans and all citizens of human space, she began. 18 hours ago, an alien fleet entered our territory without permission. They have demanded we abandon our homes. They have threatened to destroy our species. Today we give them our answer. She paused, looking across the room at the faces of men and women who represented 12 billion humans. I am authorizing Operation Steel Resolve. Every available ship, every trained soldier, every weapon we possess will be used to defend our worlds. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not surrender our children to alien conquest. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would fight. Admiral Paul Jackson stood in the command center of the battleship Resolute, flagship of a human defense fleet. Around him, officers coordinated the largest military operation in human history. Fleet status report, he ordered. 147 combat vessels ready for battle, sir. Another 60 civilian ships have been armed and assigned to support roles. Paul looked at the tactical display. 200 alien ships against 207 human vessels. The numbers looked almost even, but the alien ships were much larger and more powerful. What's our strategy, Admiral? Asked his aide. We don't fight them the way they expect. We use every advantage we have. Captain Ben Wright received his orders while commanding the destroyer Relentless. His ship was part of the Fast Attack Squadron assigned to hit-and-run tactics. All ships listen carefully, he told his squadron. We're not going to stand in line and trade shots with these aliens. We're going to hit them fast, hit them hard, and get out before they can respond. His squadron consisted of 12 destroyers and 24 patrol boats. Small ships, but fast and maneuverable. Sir, what do they pursue us? Asked his weapons officer. Then we lead them into the asteroid fields. Let them try to follow us through the mining zones. Colonel Steve Barnes addresses Marine assault teams as they prepared for potential boarding actions. 3,000 of the best fighters humanity could produce. We don't know what these aliens look like up close, he told them. We don't know how they fight hand to hand. What we do know is that no one threatens human families and walks away. The Marines check their weapons and equipment one final time. If the fleet battles went badly, they would attempt to board and capture alien vessels. Chief Engineer Maria Santos had worked through the night retrofitting human ships. Her teams installed every weapon modification they could design in 18 hours. The electromagnetic pulse weapons are ready, she reported to Admiral Jackson. We've also modified mining lasers, cargo loading systems, and even waste disposal units. Anything that can damage an alien ship. Will it be enough? We'll find out soon. Dr. Amy Chin studied the reconnaissance data from Captain Rodriguez's mission. Every piece of information about alien technology could mean the difference between victory and defeat. Their shields operate on a rotating frequency, she explained to the tactical team. If we can match that frequency, we might be able to penetrate their defenses. How long to develop the technology? We don't have time to develop anything new, but our existing sensor arrays might be able to track their shield frequencies in real time. On the mining colony of New Denver, the last evacuation ships lifted off carrying children and elderly civilians, but many colonists stayed behind. This is our home, said Mayor Frank Gibson to the evacuation coordinator. We built this place with our own hands. We're not running. 500 colonists remained, along with their mining equipment and industrial machinery. If the aliens wanted New Denver, they would have to take it by force. Admiral Kextar watched the tactical display as his fleet approached the first human settlements. His sensors detected human ships moving into defensive positions. They actually plan to fight us, he observed with amusement. Count their vessels. Approximately 200 ships, Admiral. Most are much smaller than our vessels. This will be over quickly. Signal the fleet. Standard attack formation. Destroy all resistance. The Zephyrian fleet moved through space in perfect military formation. Each ship knew its position and role. They had used these tactics to conquer 17 star systems. But as they approached the outer colonies, something unexpected happened. The human ships did not form battle lines. Instead, they scattered in all directions. What are they doing? Kextar demanded. Unknown, Admiral. They appear to be running away. Kextar smiled. Fear has overcome their brief moment of courage. Pursue and destroy them. But Captain Ben Wright was not running away. His destroyer squadron split into 6 groups, each approaching the alien fleet from a different angle. All units, execute attack pattern Delta. Hit their flanks and withdraw immediately. The human attack began like nothing the Zephyrians had ever experienced. Instead of formal battle lines, small groups of ships darted in and out of the alien formation like angry insects. Sir, the enemy is attacking from multiple directions simultaneously, reported a Zephyrian tactical officer. Impossible. That's not how space battles work. But the humans were not following traditional space battle tactics. They used their superior speed and maneuverability to strike and withdraw before the aliens could respond effectively. Captain Wright's destroyer fired its new electromagnetic pulse weapons at a Zephyrian cruiser. The alien ship's shields flickered and failed for several seconds. It works! Wright shouted. All ships, target their shield generators with EM weapons. Meanwhile, other human ships attacked from completely different angles. Patrol boats armed with mining lasers cut into alien hull plating. Converted cargo ships launched modified freight, containers filled with explosives. Admiral Kextar watched his tactical display with growing confusion. His fleet was being attacked by dozens of small ships that refused to engage in proper combat. Order the fleet to form defensive circles. We'll force them to attack our strongest positions. But the human ships simply ignored the alien defensive positions. They attacked supply vessels, communication ships, and isolated patrol craft, anywhere the aliens looked weak. This is not honorable combat, Kextar's tactical officer complained. Honor means nothing to these mammals, the admiral replied. but our superior firepower will prevail. Captain Tony Rodriguez commanded a squadron of armed civilian ships. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, and industrial vessels pressed into military service. Remember, we're not trying to destroy their big ships, he told his mixed fleet. We're trying to damage them, confuse them, and make them waste ammunition on small targets. His converted passenger liner launched a cloud of metal debris at an alien destroyer. The Zephyrian ship's point defense systems fire hundreds of shots to clear the debris cloud, using up valuable ammunition. Dr. Helen Ross worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing the wreckage from the first skirmishes. Every piece of alien technology provided new insights. Their hull material is strong but brittle, she reported. Concentrated energy attacks can crack their armor if we hit the same spot repeatedly. This information was immediately transmitted to all human ships. Coordinate your attacks. Hit the same targets multiple times. As the first day of fighting ended, Admiral Kextar reviewed the battle reports. His fleet had destroyed 37 human ships, but they had lost 9 vessels of their own, and dozens more were damaged. How is this possible? He demanded. We outnumber them. Our ships are superior. The enemy refuses to fight properly, Admiral. They attack and retreat. They coordinate their movements in ways we have never encountered. Kextar looked at the tactical display, showing human ships scattered throughout the battle zone. Then we will teach them to fight properly. Tomorrow we attack their colonies directly, force them to defend fixed positions. But on the human command ship, Admiral Jackson was already planning the next phase of the battle. They think in terms of traditional fleet engagements, he told his staff. We'll give them something completely different. The aliens expected conquest. Instead, they had found a species that fought like no enemy they had ever faced. And the battle was just beginning. The second day of the war began with Admiral Kextar's fleet approaching New Denver Colony. His tactical display showed the mining world surrounded by asteroids and industrial installations. This will be simple, he told his officers. Destroy their orbital facilities, then demand surrender of the surface population. But as the Zephyrian fleet moved into attack position, they discovered that New Denver was not defenseless. The colonists had turned their mining equipment into weapons. Mayor Frank Gibson stood in the colony's emergency command center, surrounded by miners, engineers, and farmers who had chosen to stay and fight. Mass drivers online, reported Chief Engineer Sally Adams. We've loaded them with pure iron slugs. Excellent. Show these aliens what human ingenuity looks like. The first surprise came when massive chunks of iron began flying toward the alien fleet at incredible velocity. The mining colony's mass drivers, designed to launch cargo containers to orbital stations, now hurled dense metal projectiles at enemy ships. Admiral Kextar watched his shields absorb the impact of iron slugs traveling at several thousand kilometers per hour. What kind of weapons are those? They appear to be modified industrial equipment, Admiral. Industrial equipment? They're shooting mining tools at us. The second surprise came from the asteroid field surrounding New Denver. Captain Ben Wright had positioned his destroyer squadron inside the asteroid belt, using the rocks as cover. All ships use the asteroids for protection. Make them come to us. The human ships played a deadly game of hide and seek among the floating rocks. Zephyrian vessels, designed for open space combat, found themselves unable to maneuver effectively in the asteroid field. Sir, we cannot achieve clear firing solutions on the enemy vessels, reported a Zephyrian weapons officer. The asteroids block our targeting systems. Then destroy the asteroids, Kextar ordered. But destroying asteroids created more problems for the aliens. Each shattered rock became dozens of smaller projectiles flying in unpredictable directions. The asteroid field became a deadly maze of debris. Captain Wright watched alien ships struggle with a chaotic environment. Now we show them how humans fight in space. His destroyers emerged from behind asteroids, fired their weapons, then disappeared behind other rocks before the aliens could return fire. It was like fighting ghosts. Colonel Steve Barnes had prepared for this moment. His Marines were hidden inside several large asteroids, waiting for alien ships to come close enough for boarding actions. Remember, we don't know anything about their ship layouts, he told his teams. Move fast, take prisoners if possible, and gather intelligence. When a Zephyrian cruiser moved too close to investigate a suspicious asteroid, Barnes led 50 Marines in a direct assault on the alien hull. Breaching charges ready. On my mark. The Marines blasted to the alien hull and poured into the ship's corridors. Inside, they found tall reptilian beings who had never faced human close combat tactics. The Zephyrians were excellent fleet commanders and ship gunners, but they had no experience with humans carrying shotguns and explosives in confined spaces. "Secure the bridge," Barnes ordered. "Take their officers alive if you can." Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Ross received new intelligence from the asteroid field battles. Human weapons were having more effect than expected on alien technology. Their shields worked perfectly against energy weapons, she explained to Admiral Jackson. But physical projectiles are getting through. The mining equipment is actually more effective than our military lasers. How is that possible? Their shields are designed to stop directed energy. Chunks of iron flying at high velocity go right through. This information changed human tactics immediately. Every ship with mass drivers, railguns, or projectile weapons moved to the front lines. On New Denver, the colonists watched their mass drivers pummel alien ships. But the Zephyrians were learning to adapt. "They're moving out of range," reported Engineer Adams. "Our mining equipment can't reach them at that distance." "Then we bring them closer," Mayor Gibson replied. "Activate the beacon." New Denver began broadcasting a fake distress signal, claiming their defenses had failed, and they were ready to surrender. The message was designed to draw alien ships closer to the colony. Admiral Kextar received the surrender transmission and smiled. "Finally, these mammals show some intelligence. Order Squadron 7 to accept their surrender." But when 12 Zephyrian ships moved close to the colony to receive the surrender, they flew directly into the range of every piece of mining equipment on the planet. Mass drivers or crushers, industrial lasers, and construction equipment all opened fire simultaneously. The alien ships found themselves under attack from weapons they had never encountered. Captain Wright chose this moment to lead his destroyers out of the asteroid field in a coordinated attack. All ships hit them while they're confused. The battle for New Denver became a slaughter. Alien ships trapped between asteroid defenses and colonial weapons found themselves unable to maneuver or retreat effectively. "Admiral, we are losing Squadron 7, reported Kextar's tactical officer. "The enemy has turned their entire industrial base into weapons." Kextar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His fleet was being defeated by mining equipment and converted civilian vessels. "How many ships have we lost?" 17 destroyed, 23 damaged. "The enemy casualty count is unclear." "Unclear? Sir, we cannot distinguish between military and civilian targets. Their entire population appears to be participating in combat operations." This was something the Zephyrians had never encountered. In every previous conquest, they had fought military forces while civilians evacuated or surrendered. But human civilians were fighting alongside their military. Captain Tony Rodriguez commanded a group of armed cargo ships that had spent the morning ramming alien vessels. His freighter, originally designed to carry grain between colonies, now mounted improvised weapons and armor plating. "Third freighter successful ram on alien destroyer," he reported to Admiral Jackson. "Target is dead in space." "Confirmed, Captain." "Well done." "Sir, we lost the ship and half the crew, but the aliens lost their entire vessel." This was human warfare at its most basic level. When superior technology failed, humans used superior determination. They were willing to sacrifice their own ships to destroy enemy vessels. Dr. Amy Chin analyzed the battle data from her laboratory on Earth. The patterns she saw worried and amazed her. "They're adapting faster than any species should be able to," she told her research team. "Every battle teaches them something new about our tactics." Is that good or bad? It's terrifying. They're learning from every engagement. But so are we. As the battle for New Denver continued, both sides began to understand what they truly faced. The Zephyrians realized they were fighting an enemy that refused to follow any known rules of warfare. And the humans discovered that alien technology, while advanced, was not invincible. Physical force, creative thinking, and absolute determination could overcome superior firepower. By the end of the second day, Admiral Kextar had lost 26 ships. His fleet still outnumbered the humans, but his advantage was shrinking with every battle. "Admiral, perhaps we should request reinforcements from the homeworld," suggested his tactical officer. Kextar considered this option. Asking for help would mean admitting that a primitive species was providing serious resistance. "Not yet," he decided. "We will adapt our tactics. These mammals may fight strangely, but they cannot overcome Zephyrian military science." But in the wreckage floating around New Denver, human salvage teams were already recovering alien technology. Every captured device provided new insights into Zephyrian weaknesses. The colonists in New Denver had proven something important. Humans would not run from their homes. They would fight with whatever weapons they could find, using whatever tactics worked. The aliens had expected conquest. Instead, they found a species that became more dangerous when backed into a corner. 3 weeks into the war, the situation had changed dramatically. Admiral Kextar stood on his damaged bridge, watching repair crews work to fix systems that human weapons had somehow penetrated. "Status report," he demanded. 64 ships destroyed, Admiral. Another 47 require major repairs. The humans have lost, we estimate, 90 vessels. Kextar's tactical officer hesitated before continuing. "Sir, there's something else. Our supply lines are under constant attack. These mammals don't seem to understand that attacking supply ships violates the customs of civilized warfare." "They understand perfectly," Kextar replied grimly. "They simply don't care about civilized warfare." Major Danny Clark led a team of Marines aboard the captured Zephyrian cruiser Void Hunter. The alien ship had been disabled by concentrated fire from human destroyers, and Clark's boarding party had fought through its corridors for 6 hours. "Bridge secured," he reported to Admiral Jackson. "We have prisoners and a complete alien database." The captured Zephyrian officers sat in restraints while human technicians copied their computer systems. For the first time, humans had access to complete alien technology and tactical information. "What can you tell us about their command structure?" Dr. Amychin asked the ranking Zephyrian prisoner through a translation device. The alien officer, Commander Zeknil, looked at her with obvious contempt. "You mammals lack the intelligence to understand Zephyrian military science." "Try us," Amy replied calmly. Over the next several days, human interrogators extracted valuable information from the alien prisoners. They learned about Zephyrian fleet organization, communication codes, and most importantly, political pressure from their homeworld. Lieutenant Sophie Turner worked in the communication center, analyzing intercepted alien transmissions. Her breakthrough came when she cracked their military encryption codes. "Admiral, you need to hear this," she told Admiral Jackson, playing back a translated message between Admiral Kextar and his superiors. The alien high command was not pleased with the progress of the conquest. Kextar was being ordered to achieve victory quickly or face replacement by a more competent commander. "He's under pressure," Jackson realized. "That means he'll take risks to win fast." This intelligence allowed human forces to predict Zephyrian strategy. When the aliens concentrated their fleet for a major assault on the industrial world of New Pittsburgh, human ships were ready. Captain Alex Morgan had developed new formation tactics based on 3 weeks of combat experience. His battle group used coordinated attacks that the aliens found impossible to counter. "Remember, we don't try to match their firepower," he told his squadron commanders. "We use speed and coordination to hit them where they're weakest." The battle for New Pittsburgh became the turning point of the war. Instead of defending the planet directly, human forces allowed the aliens to approach, then surrounded them. Captain Ben Wright led his destroyers in a series of hit-and-run attacks that confused and scattered the alien formation. At the same time, converted civilian ships attacked from unexpected angles. "All units, execute Maneuver 7, Morgan commanded. Human ships moved in a complex pattern that brought maximum firepower to bear on individual alien vessels, while minimizing return fire. It was like watching a pack of wolves hunt a herd of large animals. Admiral Kextar found his fleet being torn apart by tactics he couldn't understand or counter. "What are they doing? This is not how fleet battles work." Sir, they appear to be using some form of pack hunting behavior, his tactical officer reported. Pack hunting? These are starships, not animals. But the comparison was accurate. Human forces had abandoned traditional space combat doctrine in favor of tactics that emphasized coordination, speed, and striking weak points. The aliens lost 18 ships at New Pittsburgh while destroying only 7 human vessels. For the first time since the war began, the humans achieved a clearly favorable exchange ratio. Chief Engineer Maria Santos studied the wreckage of alien ships captured at New Pittsburgh. Her teams had learned to reverse engineer Zephyrian technology quickly. Their power systems are more efficient than ours, she reported, but they're also more complex. A targeted electromagnetic pulse can shut down their entire ship. Can we build weapons specifically designed to exploit that weakness? Already working on it. Give me 2 days. Dr. Helen Ross made another important discovery while examining alien computer systems. The Zephyrians had detailed files on 17 other species they had conquered. Look at this pattern, she showed Admiral Jackson. Every species they had defeated used traditional military tactics. Line formations, direct engagement, formal surrender when outnumbered. And we're not doing any of those things. Exactly. We're the first species they've encountered that fights like humans. The psychological impact on Zephyrian forces was becoming obvious. Intercepted communications showed growing confusion and fear among alien crews. They keep talking about demon tactics and unnatural warfare, Lieutenant Turner reported. Their morale is breaking down. Colonel Steve Barnes had established a permanent boarding assault program. His Marines had captured 3 more alien ships and were becoming experts at fighting in Zephyrian vessels. Their ship layouts follow a standard pattern, he explained his team leaders. Bridge on top, engineering below, crew quarters in the middle, but they have no experience with internal security. Human boarding parties move through alien ships like they own them. The Zephyrians had never faced enemies who fought inside their vessels. On Earth, President Karen Blake addressed the nation with the first good news since the war began. My fellow humans, after 3 weeks of fighting, we have achieved something no other species has accomplished. We have stopped Zephyrian expansion. We have captured their ships and learned their weaknesses. Most importantly, we have shown them that humans do not surrender. The president paused, looking directly into the cameras. But this war is far from over. The aliens still outnumber us. They still possess advanced technology. We must remain vigilant, remain united, and continue fighting until every alien ship leaves human space. Admiral Kextar received new orders from the Zephyrian High Command that same day. He was given 2 more weeks to complete the conquest, or he would be replaced and executed for incompetence. 2 weeks, he told his remaining officers. We must destroy these mammals completely in 2 weeks. Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider our tactics. The enemy seems to adapt faster than we anticipated. Kextar turned on his subordinate with rage. Are you suggesting we adopt the chaotic methods of these primitives? We are Zephyrians. We have conquered 17 star systems using proper military doctrine. Yes, sir, but we have never lost 64 ships to a single species before. That night, Kextar stood alone on his bridge, staring at the tactical display. The human fleet positions looked like a swarm of insects surrounding his remaining ships. For the first time since the invasion began, he wondered if the Zephyrian Empire had made a mistake. These humans fought with ferocity and creativity that defied everything he understood about warfare. But he was a Zephyrian admiral. Retreat was not an option. He would either conquer these mammals or die trying. Meanwhile, in human space, every shipyard worked around the clock to repair damaged vessels and build new weapons. Every surviving crew member trained for the next battle. The humans had learned something important over 3 weeks of fighting. They could not match alien technology, but they could outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight any enemy through superior tactics and absolute determination. The tide of war was turning, but the deadliest battle still lay ahead. Admiral Kextar stood in his war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing the deteriorating military situation. His fleet had been reduced to 136 operational ships. The humans, somehow, still fielded over 100 vessels despite their losses. How is this possible? He demanded of his tactical staff. We destroy their ships, yet their numbers barely decrease. Commander Zalder, his senior tactical officer, provided the disturbing answer. Intelligence suggests they are converting civilian vessels to military use faster than we can destroy them. Every cargo ship, passenger liner, and industrial vessel becomes a warship, and their tactics continue to evolve. They learn from every engagement while we... Kextar left the sentence unfinished. The pressure from the Zephyrian High Command had become unbearable. His latest orders were simple and terrifying. Achieve total victory within 10 days or face execution for military incompetence. Sir, there is one option we have not yet employed, Zalder said quietly. The planet killers. Yes, Admiral. If we cannot defeat their military, we eliminate their civilian population, force them to surrender, or watch their world burn. Kextar had hoped to avoid using the Empire's most terrible weapons. Planet killer missiles were designed to crack worlds and boil atmospheres. They represented the ultimate expression of Zephyrian power. Target selection? Harvest Prime. Agricultural world. Population 4 million. No military value, but high psychological impact. Kextar looked at the tactical display, showing Harvest Prime's location. A peaceful farming world where humans grew food for a dozen star systems. Prepare the planet killer. 1 missile should be sufficient. Captain Luke Anderson commanded the patrol vessel Guardian, one of 12 ships assigned to protect Harvest Prime. His wife and 2 young children lived in the farming communities on the planet's surface. Sir, long-range sensors detect a single large object approaching from the alien fleet, reported his sensor operator. Size and configuration? Unknown design, sir. Much larger than their standard warships. Energy readings are unprecedented. Luke felt cold fear grip his stomach. Get me Admiral Jackson immediately. But communications were jammed by alien interference. Guardian and the other patrol ships could only watch as the massive missile approached their world. On Harvest Prime, emergency sirens wailed across farming communities and small towns. Rachel Anderson gathered her children, 5-year-old Emma and 7-year-old Tommy, trying to explain why they had to go to the underground shelters. Where's Daddy? Emma asked, tears streaming down her small face. Daddy protecting us, Rachel answered, holding both children close. He'll come home soon. She didn't tell them that the emergency broadcast had mentioned a planet-killer weapon. Some truths were too terrible for children to understand. Captain Anderson and his small fleet tried desperately to intercept the alien missile. Guardian's weapons opened fire at maximum range, joined by every other ship in the defense force. Direct hit on target. Reported his weapons officer. No apparent damage. The planet killer continued its approach, its massive shields absorbing everything the human ships could throw at it. Luke watched helplessly as the weapon that would destroy his family closed on Harvest Prime. All ships, ramming attack, he ordered. Full speed, direct impact. 12 human ships accelerated toward the alien missile at maximum velocity. They knew it was suicide, but 4 million people lived on the planet below. Guardian struck the planet killer first, followed by 11 other patrol vessels. The explosions lit up space like a miniature star, but when the light faded, the alien weapon continued toward its target. Admiral Kextar watched the human suicide attack with surprise. They destroyed their entire patrol fleet trying to stop 1 missile. Confirmed, Admiral. All human ships lost. The planet killer remains operational. These mammals value individual lives over military efficiency. It makes them predictably irrational. But even as he spoke, Kextar felt an unfamiliar emotion. The human crews had knowingly flown their ships into certain death, trying to save their planet. No Zephyrian commander had ever witnessed such pointless bravery. The planet killer struck Harvest Prime 6 minutes later. The weapon burrowed to the planet's crust before detonating its fusion warhead deep in the molten core. Harvest Prime cracked like a broken egg. Continents split apart. Oceans boiled into steam. The atmosphere burned away in minutes. 4 million humans died in the space of an hour. Admiral Paul Jackson, received the news aboard his flagship Resolute. The tactical display showed Harvest Prime's location, now marked by an expanding cloud of debris and superheated gas. "Confirmed casualties?" he asked quietly. "Total planetary destruction, sir. No survivors." Jackson had served in the military for 30 years. He had lost friends in battles and accidents. But nothing had prepared him for watching an entire world die. "Send a message to all human forces. Priority Alpha." "What message, sir?" "The aliens have shown their true nature. No quarter will be given. No prisoners will be taken. Any alien ship or installation is to be destroyed immediately. The destruction of Harvest Prime changed the character of the war completely. Human forces that had fought with restraint and followed military protocols now fought with savage fury. General Chris Davis received authorization for Operation Nemesis within hours of Harvest Prime's destruction. Every available weapon, including experimental and prototype systems, was authorized for immediate combat use. "I want every alien ship in the system destroyed," he told his staff. "I don't care about casualties, costs, or conventions of warfare. Kill them all." Captain Tony Rodriguez commanded a squadron of modified cargo ships that had been converted into suicide vessels. Each ship carried a crew of volunteers and enough explosives to destroy an alien cruiser. "Remember, we're not trying to survive this mission," he told his crews. "We're trying to take as many of them with us as possible." His ships accelerated toward the alien fleet, broadcasting human music and poetry on all frequencies. They wanted the aliens to understand that each ramming attack represented humans who would never see their families again. Commander Ruth Phillips led a different kind of suicide mission. Her engineering team had developed a new type of weapon, ships that could overload their fusion reactors on command, creating artificial supernovas. Target the alien supply depot. She ordered her squadron. One ship should be enough to take out their entire logistics chain. Her destroyer Angel of Vengeance flew directly into the center of the alien supply formation before detonating its reactor. The explosion destroyed 27 Zephyrian ships in a ball of nuclear fire. Dr. Amy Chin worked frantically in her laboratory, analyzing every piece of alien technology captured since the war began. The destruction of Harvest Prime had motivated her to find new ways to hurt the enemy. Their planet-killer weapons have one critical weakness, she discovered. The guidance systems can be hacked if we can get close enough. How close? Boarding range. We need to put people inside the weapon while it's armed and operational. Colonel Steve Barnes volunteered as Marines for the mission immediately. "My boys have been fighting inside alien ships for weeks. A planet-killer missile is just another target." As the fourth week of war began, Admiral Kextar found himself facing an enemy that had transformed completely. The humans no longer fought with military discipline and restraint. They fought like cornered animals with nothing left to lose. "Admiral, we are detecting massive human fleet movements," reported his tactical officer. "They appear to be concentrating every available ship for a major assault." "How many vessels?" "Over 200, sir. More than their entire original fleet." Kextar stared at the display in disbelief. "That's impossible. We've destroyed more than 200 human ships." "Sir, intelligence suggests they're using civilian vessels, construction equipment, even space stations as warships. Their entire population appears to be mobilizing for combat." For the first time since the invasion began, Kextar felt genuine fear. The humans were not just fighting a war. They were transforming their entire civilization into a weapon pointed directly at the Zephyrian Empire. "Signal to High Command. Request immediate reinforcements. All available ships." "Sir, that would require admitting the conquest has failed." Kextar looked at his tactical display, showing human ships swarming toward his fleet like angry insects. "The conquest failed the moment we killed their civilians. We just didn't realize it yet. The war had entered its deadliest phase. The humans had abandoned all restraint. The aliens face an enemy that would accept any casualties, pay any price, and fight with any weapon to achieve total victory. Harvest Prime had been intended to break human resistance. Instead, it had unleashed something the Zephyrian Empire had never encountered, a species that became more dangerous when it had nothing left to lose. The Zephyrian fleet tried to retreat, but there was nowhere to run. Human ships appeared everywhere they turned, like a pack of predators that had surrounded wounded prey. Admiral Kextar stood on his damaged bridge, watching his tactical display with growing horror. Red dots representing human vessels surrounded his fleet completely. "How many ships do they have now?" he asked his tactical officer. "Computer estimates 340 vessels, Admiral, but that number keeps changing. They appear to be converting everything that can move through space into a weapon." Commander Zalder provided more disturbing intelligence. "Sir, we're intercepting human communications. They've stripped crews from cargo ships, passenger liners, even orbital construction platforms to create more warships. Their entire civilization has become military," Kextar realized with growing dread. Captain Luke Anderson had survived the destruction of Harvest Prime because he was off-planet when the attack occurred. His wife and children were dead. His home was an expanding cloud of radioactive debris. Now he commanded a squadron of revenge-hungry humans in converted civilian ships. The cargo hauler he flew had been armed with every weapon they could mount on its hull. "All ships, Wolfpack formation," he commanded. "Remember what they did to our families." His squadron of 12 vessels approached the alien rear guard like hungry sharks. They had abandoned all military protocol in favor of one simple goal: kill every alien in human space. The first target was a Zephyrian destroyer that had become separated from the main fleet. Anderson's ships surrounded it from all directions. "No survivors," he ordered. "Make it quick." The alien ship disappeared in a ball of fire and metal. No distress calls were sent. No escape pods launched. It simply ceased to exist. General Chris Davis coordinated Operation Nemesis from a command ship that had once been a passenger liner. His staff worked at stations improvised from cargo bay equipment. "Status report on all sectors," he demanded. Sector 7. 18 alien ships destroyed, no human losses. Sector 4. Alien supply convoy eliminated, minimal damage to our forces. Sector 12. Enemy fleet element trapped in asteroid field, being systematically destroyed. Davis looked at the tactical display, showing human forces scattered across 3 star systems. Every alien ship was being hunted by multiple human vessels. "What about their main fleet?" "Running toward the system edge, sir. But our fast attack squadrons are staying ahead of them. They can't escape." Captain Alex Morgan had developed new tactics based on pure revenge rather than military efficiency. His battle group used coordinated attacks designed to cause maximum psychological damage to alien crews. "Target their communication rays first," he told his squadron commanders. "I want them to die alone, unable to call for help." His ship struck alien vessels in precise sequence. First, communications were destroyed, then engines, then life support. Finally, the human ships would close in for the killing blow. "Let them know what it feels like to die slowly," Morgan said coldly. Dr. Helen Ross had been analyzing alien communications from her laboratory when she made a disturbing discovery. The Zephyrians were sending increasingly desperate messages to their homeworld. "Admiral Jackson, you need to hear this," she said, playing back a translated transmission. Admiral Kextar's voice filled the command center. "High Command, the mammals have become something we do not understand. They fight with a savagery that defies all military logic. They use their own ships as weapons. They show no mercy to prisoners. They have transformed their entire species into an instrument of war." Jackson listened to the complete message before responding. "What's your analysis, Doctor?" "They're terrified, sir. For the first time in their military history, they're facing an enemy that fights without restraint or mercy." "Good. Maybe now they understand how we felt when they killed 4 million civilians." Colonel Steve Barnes led his Marines in a series of boarding actions against alien ships trapped in the Kepler Nebula. His teams have perfected the art of fighting inside enemy vessels. "No prisoners unless they have strategic intelligence," he told his assault leaders. "Everyone else dies where they stand." The Marines moved through alien corridors like death itself. They knew every weakness in Zephyrian ship design, every tactical error alien crews made under pressure. Ship secured. Barnes reported after clearing an alien cruiser. "All enemy personnel eliminated." Intelligence data copied. His Marines had stopped taking most prisoners after Harvest Prime. The few aliens who survived were kept alive only long enough to provide information, then disposed of. Commander Ruth Phillips had turned her destroyer squadron into a mobile execution unit. Her ships hunted stragglers from the alien fleet with methodical efficiency. Target acquired. Her sensor operator reported, single alien vessel attempting to reach system edge. Intercept course. Full power to engines. Phillips' ship Lightning Strike caught the fleeing alien vessel just short of the jump point. The engagement lasted less than 5 minutes. Confirmed kill, she reported to Fleet Command. No survivors. Continuing patrol. Admiral Kextar realized his fleet was being systematically exterminated when his communications officer reported contact with only 87 ships from his original force of 200. Where are the others? Destroyed Admiral. The mammals are hunting us like animals. Signal all remaining ships. Form defensive formation around the flagship. We make our stand here. But the humans had no intention of allowing a climactic battle. Instead, they continued their wolf-pack tactics, picking off alien ships one by one. Captain Ben Wright led a squadron of destroyers in a running battle with the alien rear guard. His ship struck and withdrew, never allowing the aliens to concentrate their firepower. Hit them again, he ordered. Don't let them regroup. Each attack destroyed another alien vessel, while the human ships remained almost untouched. The Zephyrians found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to engage in traditional combat. Lieutenant Sophie Turner intercepted a desperate message from Admiral Kextar to his homeworld. Request immediate evacuation. The conquest has failed completely. These mammals fight like demons. They show no mercy. They take no prisoners. Send rescue ships or we will all die in this cursed system. The response from the Zephyrian High Command was swift and brutal. No evacuation authorized. Complete the conquest or die with honor. Admiral Jackson received this intelligence with grim satisfaction. They've been abandoned by their own command. Now they know how it feels. Dr. Amy Chin made another important discovery while analyzing alien technology. The Zephyrians had detailed records of 17 previous conquests, but nothing in their database prepared them for fighting humans. Every other species they defeated followed predictable patterns, she explained to the military staff. Formal surrenders when outnumbered, protection of civilian populations, adherence to recognized rules of warfare. And we're doing none of those things. Exactly. We're fighting in ways their entire military doctrine says are impossible. As the 5th week of war began, Admiral Kextar's fleet had been reduced to 63 operational ships. They were trapped in human space, surrounded by enemies who fought with inhuman determination. Admiral, we have lost contact with the homeworld, his communications officer reported. All long-range transmitters have been destroyed or jammed. Kextar stood alone on his bridge, watching human ships circle his fleet like vultures around dying prey. For the first time in his career, he understood true desperation. Send a message to the human fleet commander, he ordered. Sir, we no longer have communication equipment capable of. Then find a way. Kextar interrupted. I will speak to these mammals one final time. The message reached Admiral Jackson an hour later. Admiral Kextar's voice, translated by computers, carried unmistakable fear. Human Commander, I am Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire. I request immediate ceasefire negotiations. We are prepared to discuss terms for ending this conflict. Jackson listened to the complete message, then composed his response. Admiral Kextar, this is Admiral Jackson of the Human Defense Forces. You entered our space without permission. You threatened our families. You destroyed our world. There will be no negotiations. There will be no ceasefire. You have 2 choices, surrender unconditionally or die fighting. The aliens had come to human space expecting easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing extermination by an enemy that fought like no species in the galaxy. The hunt continued, and there was nowhere left for them to run. The end came in the Kepler Nebula, where the last remnants of Admiral Kextar's fleet made their final stand. 38 Zephyrian ships formed a defensive circle around their flagship, surrounded by over 400 human vessels. Admiral Paul Jackson stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the tactical display. After 5 weeks of the most brutal warfare in human history, the alien invasion force was finally cornered. All human ships. This is Admiral Jackson. The enemy fleet is trapped. Begin final attack sequence. But before the human ships could advance, a transmission came from the alien flagship. Admiral Kextar's voice filled the communication channels, speaking in carefully pronounced human language. Admiral Jackson of the human species, I am Admiral Kextar of the Zephyrian Empire. I wish to speak before we die. Jackson paused the attack order. This is Admiral Jackson. I'm listening. Your species fights unlike any we have encountered in 60 years of conquest. You do not follow the accepted rules of warfare. You show no mercy to defeated enemies. You turn your entire civilization into weapons when threatened. Kextar's voice carried exhaustion and something that might have been respect. We came here expecting to conquer primitives. Instead, we found something else entirely. What's your point, Admiral? My point is this. We were wrong about your species. Terribly wrong. You are not primitive mammals. You are something far more dangerous. On his bridge, Admiral Kextar looked at his remaining officers. Commander Zalder lay dead at his tactical station, killed during the running battle through the asteroid field. Most of his senior staff were gone. Admiral Jackson, I make one final request. Allow me to send a message to my home world before we die. Jackson considered this. Why should I grant you anything? You destroyed Harvest Prime. 4 million innocent people died because of your orders. Because my message will serve your interests better than mine. Jackson was curious despite his anger. Explain. If the Zephyrian Empire learns what truly happened here, they will never send another fleet to human space. My message will be your best protection against future invasion. After a brief discussion with his staff, Jackson agreed. You have 5 minutes to send your message. Then we finish this. Admiral Kextar activated his ship's long-range transmitter for the final time. His message would take weeks to reach the Zephyrian homeworld, but it would arrive eventually. High Command, this is Admiral Kextar reporting final mission status. The conquest of human space has failed completely. Of 200 ships and 40,000 crew, fewer than 40 vessels remain operational. He paused, watching human ships close and around his fleet. I must report something that contradicts all our intelligence about the species. The humans are not primitive. They are not weak. They are the most dangerous military force we have ever encountered. Kextar continued his report while human weapons powered up around him. They fight without honor, without mercy, without restraint. They use tactics no civilized species would consider. They turn civilian equipment into weapons. They sacrifice their own ships to destroy ours. When we destroyed one of their worlds, they abandoned all military convention and became something inhuman. His tactical officer, one of the few survivors on the bridge, looked at him with confusion. Admiral, why are you telling them this? Because other fleets must not follow us here. Kextar returned to his message. High Command, I am transmitting all tactical data we have collected. Study it carefully. These humans adapt faster than any species should be able to. They learn from every engagement. They become more dangerous with each battle. He watched as human ships began their final approach. My final recommendation, mark this region of space as forbidden territory. Do not send military expeditions here. Do not attempt trade or diplomacy. Forget that the species exists. Admiral Jackson listened to the alien commander's message with growing amazement. The enemy was essentially broadcasting a warning to stay away from human space. Sir, should we stop him? Asked his communications officer. No, let him finish. This message serves our purposes perfectly. Kextar's transmission continued. To any future Zephyrian commanders who might consider operations in this region, these humans are not what they appear to be. They look like peaceful mammals, but they fight like demons when threatened. They will sacrifice everything to protect their territory. They will use any weapon, accept any casualties, and fight until either they win or everyone dies trying. The alien admiral's voice grew quiet. I have conquered 17 star systems for the Empire. I have never faced defeat before today. But these humans have taught me something important. There are species in this galaxy that should never be attacked, never be threatened, never be disturbed. Admiral, incoming transmission from the human fleet. His communications officer reported. Admiral Jackson's voice filled the alien bridge. Admiral Kextar, your time is up. Do you surrender your remaining ships? Kextar looked around his bridge at the few surviving crew members, young officers who followed him across the galaxy, expecting glory and conquest. Instead, they found death in a nebula far from home. Admiral Jackson, we do not surrender. But before we die, answer one question. Why you fight with such savagery? Other species we have conquered showed mercy to prisoners, protected their civilians, followed military conventions. Jackson's response came immediately. Because you threatened our families, because you destroyed our world, because you showed us no mercy first. Then we brought this on ourselves. Yes, you did. Admiral Kextar walked to his command chair and activated the ship's self-destruct sequence. All remaining Zephyrian vessels, this is Admiral Kextar. Rather than face capture by these demons, we choose an honorable death. Set your ships to self-destruct on my command. Admiral, wait, Jackson interrupted. Some of your crew might want to surrender individually. None will accept such shame, Kextar replied. We are Zephyrian military. We die with our ships. The 38 remaining alien vessels activated their self-destruct systems simultaneously. The Kepler Nebula lit up like a cluster of stars as the last remnants of the invasion fleet chose death over surrender. When the light faded, nothing remained of the Zephyrian fleet except expanding clouds of superheated gas and metal debris. Admiral Jackson stood silently on his bridge, watching the aftermath. After 5 weeks of the most brutal warfare in human history, the invasion was finally over. All human ships, this is Admiral Jackson. The alien fleet has been completely destroyed. Stand down from combat alert. Begin search and rescue operations for any survivors. But there were no alien survivors. Admiral Kextar had been accurate. The Zephyrians chose death rather than face capture by humans. 6 months later, deep space monitoring stations on the edge of human territory detected something interesting. Multiple alien fleets from different species had changed course to avoid human space entirely. Admiral Jake Morrison, promoted after the war, commanded the new early warning network. His sensors tracked dozens of alien vessels that approached human territory, then diverted to other destinations. Sir, we're detecting another fleet changing course, his sensor operator reported. 70 ships, unknown configuration, originally heading towards Sector 5. Current course? They've altered trajectory to avoid our space completely. They're taking a route that adds 3 weeks to their journey, rather than pass through human territory. Dr. Amy Chin analyzed the patterns from her new laboratory on the rebuilt border station. Word has spread throughout this region of the galaxy, she told Admiral Morrison. Multiple species are actively avoiding contact with humans. Is that good or bad? Good for now. But it also means our reputation has changed completely. We're no longer seen as a peaceful species. On Earth, President Karen Blake addressed a memorial service for the 4 million victims of Harvest Prime. The ceremony was broadcast throughout human space. We gather today to remember those we lost and honor those who fought to defend our worlds, she said to the assembled crowd. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We must never again be caught unprepared. Behind her, construction crews worked on massive orbital defense platforms. Hundreds of new warships moved through space on patrol routes. Human space had become a fortress. The aliens came here expecting to find weak prey, the president continued. Instead, they discover that humans will fight with absolute determination to protect our families and our freedom. She paused, looking up at the stars visible through Memorial's dome. Let this be a lesson to any species that might consider threatening human worlds. We are not aggressive conquerors, but we are dangerous when cornered. We do not seek war, but we will not run from it. In deep space, Monitoring stations tracked the electronic signature of Admiral Kekstar's final message as it traveled toward the Zephyrian homeworld. The transmission would arrive in 3 weeks, carrying its warning about the dangerous species that had destroyed an entire invasion fleet. Meanwhile, other alien civilizations intercepted fragments of the transmission. Military commanders across the galaxy studied the tactical data and reached the same conclusion. Humans were to be avoided at all costs. Captain Luke Anderson, now commanding a patrol squadron on the outer edge of human territory, received a report that would have seemed impossible before the war. "Sir, we're detecting a large alien fleet approaching our sector," his sensor operator reported. Anderson felt his heart rate increase. "Size and configuration?" 120 ships, sir. But they're transmitting peaceful intentions and requesting safe passage around our territory. They say they have no hostile intentions toward humans." Anderson almost smiled. 6 months ago, alien fleets enter human space without asking permission. Now they requested safe passage around it. "Grant them safe passage," he ordered, "but keep our weapons ready." The war had ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy. Humanity had earned something no amount of diplomacy could have achieved: the respect and fear of every species that heard the story of the Zephyrian invasion. They had entered human space without permission. None of them returned. And now, no one else wanted to make the same mistake.